It is.
Are we online?
We are online.
Okay.
Su email, στο Viber να κάνεις. Ναι, μπορεί.
It's Hangouts, Google. This is. It's on the. I'm sorry.
No, I'll text you on my Facebook.
Okay.
Quindi sembra che si stia configurando Google pianificatore di riferimento a livello
Ma l'hai chiamato davvero prova hosting? Non ci credo, voglio morire. Punto prova hosting, punto no. You cannot film outside.
We can do whenever we want to. We can start.
So this wasn't online so far?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean that we are ready? Okay.
Yeah.
We should just tell Αγγελική. Είμαστε έτοιμοι. Θες να βγάλεις ανακοίνωση?
Απλά δεν ξέρεις τι, ήθελα τουλάχιστον να το αναβάσει η Τζίνα για να μπορέσω να το κάνω κι εγώ share.
Τώρα είμαστε online. Now we are online still?
Yeah. We are alright, online. Five people who's watching us.
Okay.
Sorry. Then I will grab this. I can copy the link on the Facebook as well, on my Facebook as well. What do you think we can use?
What do you mean?
To
For the live stream. I think that computer over there, I mean that desk,
Okay.
which is central. And someone can rotate it every now and then.
Okay. Everything is ready.
Excellent.
Se vai la
Δεν θα βγάλει κανένα ανακοίνωση. Ξεκινάτε.
Είπα στην Τζίνα να βγάλει κάτι. Δεν είναι καλύτερα να το
Είσαι
βγάλει
εδώ.
αυτό.
We're online, please.
Είναι αυτό να ξεκινήσουμε.
Ναι.
Θέλω να πω.
Θα μου πήγε η Κυρκή στην τουαλέτα έρχεται. Καλύτερα να σου πει.
Well, 5 people who's watching us still.
My friends are all online.
Yeah, all Facebook stuff and things. In half an hour, we need to have my computer in this position because of the battery. Yeah.
So we should have a desk
Perhaps
available. Yes.
If you want to have this position,
Where?
so we can move this. Or in that position.
Yeah. Okay.
This is for the streaming?
Yeah, and we are online, so if you want to...
And they watch you?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
great.
cheers.
Maybe we can put it over there.
No,
Or here.
Nicholas told me...
Okay, but
Nicholas told me that either we use this position or that position. I suggested that one because it's not so...
is there
in the
any
middle.
chance that we can find something to put it a bit higher?
We can put this on here.
Maybe it will be better.
Sto bene, scusa se ti chiedo di tenermi.
Sei in diretta.
Ah, perché lo streaming?
Let's see.
C'è? 5?
5? 5 persone online. È una cosa bellissima sto fatto comunque. Come stai? Tutto bene?
Bene, bene. Stai facendo lavori qua?
Sì, lavoro qui. Non c'è nessuno.
Vuole chiedere la...
Sì, se puoi
Cioè, non so.
Just for practical reasons, when you buy food, it's like that. I don't like that. Okay? For using the microphone, this is going to help for the live stream and the recording. Speak clearly, always. Okay. So, I'm welcoming you all to the GreekPavilion. And this year, the Ministry of Education has appointed the Association of Audits to be the curators of the pavilion. And it has been a working process that we've gone through. And through this process, there are a few thematics that we put. And these thematics are crisis, the refugee crisis, the crisis of the profession of the architect, and also spaces commons, and the question of the collective. So within this framework, we have devised this workshop along with the Università IUAV di Venezia and several collaborators. And so within this framework, we will be talking about public space and the most online public space. So there are other spaces. So what really unites us is these leaders about public space and several questions surrounding that. We have set up this discussion and this workshop as a kind of an agora. Simona Mori is going to talk more about that. What does it mean to set up as an agora and this idea of the agora? But basically, just very briefly, let me say that we will be making some introductions. The coordinators, which is me, and and also Marcelo Balbo, Laura Nicolette, So we will be doing some brief introductions on based on several subjects within this framework. There will be interventions from the students. There's also a voting process taking on, asking people whether they want to participate. And there's also something else here that is revised. And this is what is important to people who are making countries. Which of these subjects that we bring in is more important. So this was also some kind of documentation of what people who are participating feel is important to them. So we're very interested in developing things more as a work in progress and as a participatory process. To say a little bit more about what's going to be happening today, as I said at the beginning, what unites us is this interest in public space. But also as educators, what unites us is this interest in talking about definitions of public space, definitions of citizenship, but also challenging these definitions and thinking, what new can we think about this? How can we think again what is concrete as a definition? How can we challenge that? But also, how can we create new connections between public space and between citizenship? And this idea we are around. We're interested in that as educators because the people who are taking part in university education are not the people who are making decisions tomorrow. So it's very important that we think about this and we challenge things and we keep things open as well. Today we're going to be talking about not just what the situation in Greece is, because there are people here with different kinds of experience. In the south, Marcelo was saying was taking in Laura's India that people say that there's a south, everything is south. So it would be interesting to hear more about that. And we'll also be talking about how has public space changed. What is public now? Because this idea has also changed. And what is private and what is public is very different than it was before. And it's also, the public space has become more private. What has been a space of gathering, as public space was supposed to be, has moved now more to collective spaces, such as, for example, the malls. And this has, so now gathering has become connected with consumption, and also with monitoring, and with allowing of access and not allowing of access. So there are these differences that we will try and think about. But also, you know, what is public and what is private? For example, in Greece, there's after the crisis, 2011, there has been a kind of an organization, a state organization set up, and in Greek it's called Aravena, and in English it's called well, we have to explain what it is. So. It's called Hellenic Republic Asset Development Fund. So it was set up so as to sell the private property of the state heads. But again, what is private and what is public is in question here. Because it's not just private buildings that are being sold, but it's also things that you consider common wealth, like natural resources, for example, or big developments that have to do with, for example, seaside resorts that might also include archaeological sites. So, what is private and what is public? This is something that we really have to consider and be very aware of. So, I don't want to get too much of the time because this is set up as a kind of discussion and not to like a lecture or something. So, I want to introduce the first person who's going to talk today. And this is S.O.M.A. So S.O.M.A is a philosopher, and we see a lot of her students here from the course of philosophy at IUAV. And she will explain bit more on this idea of what Borde how we have set up this kind of integration to various workshops. And yeah, she's going to be talking more to you about what's almost about. So, yes.
For the air, breathing with right hands held aloft us, and through both, the right hand is resolution into law. Από τα σηκωμένα δεξιά χέρια όλου του λαού τρικύλησε ο ευθέας, καθώς έπαιρναν την απόφαση αυτή. Τρικύλησε ο ευθέας.
Questo è un coso, è un verbo importante per la nostra discussione. Per lo secondo, which means was a verb in ancient Greek that was also used to indicate different things, like despite pairs of leaves swaying on the wind, waving spears of an army, holding pairs pending on it. This is PeripheRealities was a place of something. It was a political space, a space where citizens used to gather together, or to stay together, but it was a place of emotion. This is a verb that refers to strong emotional participating, to take part in the life of the city of the So this political atmosphere is very important when we are thinking about another event. The apparatus is political space. So the first question is, how can we bring this emotion back in our space? And how can we bring politics back to our space? Because from this point of view, an empty space is unauthoritarian space, like big places in Chinese big towns. Places Italian because they are just used, they are not used by people, but they are used by political power to show. Or it's a text. We are studying this year, because of course it's a classical on subject. Has stressed this importance of the public space as a space where things happen between people. So when we are talking about a political laboratory, or what is a laboratory, what is a contemporary one, we are trying to understand what sort of relationship we want to create between people. Because between is the fundamental. It's the main problem. Creating something that happens between people. And that is very clearly said that in history, there have been moments where there was something between people, the space was political, and moments that you call a desert, something which is empty. So when a space, a public space is empty, this can mean either that politically a state is totalitarian, or there is a desert of relationship between people. So thinking about the contemporary world, it's about thinking how to recreate this happening of things between people. So this is an important aspect. Another important aspect is that the citizens that were taking part in the program were free citizens. Being a free citizen means being educated to be a citizen. When you take to be a grad, you are no more an individual with your selfish or personal interests, but you become a political actor. We have someone who decides, not only discusses, but decides. So the Aravena is a space, and to me this is very important, it's a space of discussion, but it's also a space of decision. This is why the students have set up a system for participating, for voting, or a site where it would be interesting to come to some points which are going to are important and that can set up a discussion together, as you said. So this is the main point. But of course today democracy has a different form, and these different forms start from the let's say the French Revolution, because after the French Revolution, in a sense, there was a movement, the movement of the Aravena, the public decisions started to go inside the places. It was no longer the public space, it was in the private space, which became a private and you want. It was a closed space where people decided, and what was typical of the Aravena, which was a mix of cooperation and conflict. So the conflict was very important in the Aravena. Was part of the democracy and so on. When you go inside, what becomes important is not the conflict, but to the consensus. You say consensus. So you have, for example, Rousseau, whom I don't like, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, who says, the more there is I read it in Italian because I want to translate Rousseau. Più l'accordo regna nell'assemblea, più i pareri si avvicinano all'unanimità, più la volontà generale è dominante. So the idea is that you discuss what you want is to reach a consensus. This means that what happens in the public space is just disorder, because there is no consensus in the public space. In the public space, very often you react to something, or you make a manifestation of something. So what becomes important in politics is the opposite of the spirit of the Aravena, where different interests are clashing very often and entering. So what is characteristic for today of the political discussion is that it goes on inside, very far away from the citizens, and it's based on consensus rather than. So we must all accept conflict in public space, but not only in public space, but a real conflict in public space. Once, so to say, the citizens become, once consensus takes on, the citizens become an element of disorder. So public space, we want order in public space, which is exactly the opposite. Public space should be disorder. No. Once it is order, it means that the people are just expressing some conflict which doesn't go well with politics. So you have to, they have to elect a representative. This is the essence of our democracy, being a representative democracy. So people are not capable of deciding by themselves, they must elect someone who can represent their interests. So this is the first element which is very important. The people should not be only represented, but should in some way represent participation. But I mean, they should have a voice in some sort of a decision, but in order to have a voice in the decision, they must in a certain way be educated. They must know what they're talking about. So they must become active in a sense. And this is a first element, because the main idea at the basis of elective democracy is the fact that people is capable of deciding. So this is the first element, bringing people back to a more active role. Another important change that we should take into account is the fact that today we have not only the physical space, but many social and political relationships happen online through virtual communication among people. So we have, in a sense, two spaces, a space which quite against I think today, because there's not much happening in public space. Once public space has become a completely commercial space, we just go to public space to consume, to buy something or to go to a restaurant or to go to a cafe, but it's not more a place where people really meet. And people tend to socialize and to meet in the virtual space. So the second important thing, I think, is to try to understand together, and on this I would like to start a discussion about how we can put together in an interesting and productive way the virtual and the public space. Because, for example, making politics through, for example, voting online, things like this, it's very different from voting in a physical space. Because when voting just with a click makes you, I mean, takes away a little bit of your responsibility. It's easy just to click and say, yes, I want this or I don't want that. Well, it's difficult to defend your ideas while you're physically present. So it's important to bring people back to a physical contact, to a physical life. So I would say that these two aspects are important. One is what the question which is at the center of this meeting, which is, are you willing to participate? Are we willing to give our competencies, ideas, time, energy, emotion, just to do something for the public space, to make it not a desert, but a lively place? And how does this space relate with the net, so to say, with virtual social networks and what is going on? What is the relationship of these two things? Where we need the net and where we better go back to the public space. On this subject, a few years ago with Tommaso and Laura, that you can see there, we have worked at an international project putting together different universities, our university, a university in Istanbul, one in Thessaloniki, one in Jerusalem, and one in Marseille, and it was the Villa Mediterranean that asked us to make a project of a contemporary Urbana. And it was interesting because having to build a physical structure, a little bit like the one we are staying in now, was really challenging. And our group worked particularly on the relationship of how people could decide what was happening in this structure. And maybe, I don't know, we could start by asking Tommaso to show it. You can see it down there. This is a system of selecting topics people would like to have discussed in there. So it's no more the administration that decides what is going to discuss, in this case, but people who can suggest things and so on. So Tommaso did a little project about this and maybe would like to tell us about it. And a third problem important, but I think Marcello is going to talk about this, is that our agoras today must be multicultural, which was not the case in the Greek agora, of course. So it was just a group of elected people who were ready to become citizens capable of deciding. Today, our agoras are populated by foreign people, people coming from other countries, and of course this requires us to again to ask ourselves what becomes what it means citizenship today. But I think this will be the topic that Marcello is going to talk about, so we can go back to it again. Now, Tommaso, do you want to explain to me what you have done?
Yes, as you can see from the beginning, okay, we have these graphics that are basically triggering different topics that are going from public or social voting or poll events. Okay, this is the name. Okay, so the poll event is where many people are interested in a specific argument, like this, for example. And when the topic reaches a certain threshold, it will create a physical event. So the digital is creating a physical event where you can discuss about this specific topic. As you can see here is the interface. The person is triggering from 97% to 100%, and automatically it generates an event on a specific date. For example, in this case, was Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Then you can join the conversation and discussion online, or you can will to participate tapping on the event. So you will be invited on the public physical event. And you can do this stuff from any digital device that will shift the proposal to the physical space. Or you can propose another topic, for example, a topic that is not represented in the news at the moment, for example, Tunisian cuisine event. You can add materials, and then you can specifically, wait a second, okay, submit the proposal, and generate a date in the calendar. Okay, here you see, you propose the event, people will vote the event, and eventually if it reaches enough votes, it creates the event on that day. And this is to trigger events that are have a physical relation. For example, the cuisine event cannot be just a digital event because you cannot eat something online. Okay. And the final stuff is the news that will generate. Okay, as you see, when there is a streaming event, like for example this one we are doing today, in that platform you will see the content and you can interact directly with the physical agoras that are distributed all around the world.
Well, not really all around the world, all around the Mediterranean Sea.
Yes, in this case, all around the Mediterranean Sea.
Because it was a project where this contemporary approach had to be mounted in different countries, in different places, and interact with themselves. So there was a mechanism of interaction, and at the same time, the possibility of deciding what was the subject discussed inside the program. So I don't know if S.O.M.A system works exactly, but anyway, it was a good programs of things that were happening in this contemporary program were not decided by the organization, but people could say what they prepare, what they want, what they are interested in, and so be part of this people who decided what to do with this which had to work all around. So it's for just a little experience about this topic. And then Tommaso went on thinking about a system of vote that selects people know enough about the subject to vote again. But this is complicated.
If you want this video as an audio that is explaining Italian, but if you want,
and it's long.
10 minutes.
No, 10 minutes.
Okay.
No, if somebody is interested, can go and see. So actually, you can go on.
Okay, also if somebody wants to speak in another language, they can speak in another language and we can try to hold this one. Just bring that you want. In English. Okay.
Anticipation is running video? No, what do you say?
Having to do with the public space in the political space. That's the first one. I thought that was really interesting. The second one was the difference between being inside
To being outside. The third was, I think, the precondition of someone having a certain level of education and understanding consciousness in order to be able to participate. And the fourth the current element that adds to this complexity, which has to do with the virtual public life, I would say. So I think all this makes for a really interesting conversation. And also another topic which has to do with the multiculturalism that exists. So all of these are quite controversial at this point, and maybe even they generate paradox, contradictions, because I mean, in order to begin talking about a multicultural group of people that doesn't even have much in common, is probably more appropriate to go to the concept of the multitude of Harper Negri, which addresses just a group of people that comes from, you know, anywhere and just happens to be in a certain space, certain point in time. Which is, so how can we begin to understand the multitude as a condition that can address discourse in the public space, and also the fact that being inside in a space which became an assembly already indicates the transition from direct democracy to representative democracy is a major change that we need to acknowledge, and we need to discuss about it.
Yes, I think this point is very important because
we cannot hear.
Raise the voice.
Yes, I think this point is an important point because with representative democracy, there is this idea that everybody can do direct democracy, that everybody can vote. Is this true? Because this is against the idea of the Greek agora. You could only participate if you became a citizen, someone who is acting in the interest of the town. This was the same thing. I'm recently passionate of the history of the Republic of Venice. This was the same thing in the Republic of Venice, which went on for so many years. It was ruled by an oligarchy because it was only the families that ruled the town, but the oligarchy was controlled by the people and by very strong groups of citizens, but which were not passive citizens. They were citizens helping the town. For example, in the Scuole Grandi, they were looking after. For example, there was a unit. One of the schools I discovered, I didn't know, was a sort of group of people facing emergencies because there was the flood, because there were emergencies in the town, and the citizens were doing things. They were participating. They were not just talking about the problems. They were deciding. So how can we build something in such a way that people are able to decide? Because we don't want everybody to decide. We want people to decide who know what we are discussing about. In ancient Greece, the paideia was not an education in our sense. I mean, learning a lot of things, knowing a lot of things, studying and so on. It was educating people to become citizens. Knowledge was part of this. Because your preferences are different. I mean, even in decision theory, you have different things, your personal and your social preferences. But
When you move, we merge a little bit.
Yes, we can.
The problem is whether with English or Italian. Some of the guests we have here don't understand perfectly well English, so I thought we Italian.
Okay, we want to.
May I speak Italian? Do you understand Italian? Do we understand Italian? I don't understand Italian. I don't know. We go with English the point Simona is making is extremely interesting, important, stimulating, and so on. I come in because what I'm going to talk about, to ask your opinion about, is on the city of today. The city of today is a city we all know, very different from the city of the past. It's very different from the city of the past. When I say the city of the past, I mean the city of 50 years ago, at least in Europe. You mentioned the multicultural city, and that's the point. That's the major issue I'm going to look at, and I'm going to ask for your contribution, suggestions, opinion, vote, whatever. When Simona says, I'm linking to what Simona was saying, when Simona says, those essentially, if I understood it correctly, we should think of people with the power of voting, only those people who know what they're talking about, which I largely agree on. But that brings us to the point of who decides what we are going to talk about, and therefore who are the people who are educated to speak about that. I go back to the diverse city of today, where there are many people who have arrived, who are settled in the city, coming from different cultures. Are they educated enough to talk about certain things which have to do with the city? Possibly not, because they've just arrived. Mohammed is here, has been here for 6 months, some of them 5 years. He has been here for 13 years, so he knows what I'm talking about. But you see, what you present as an issue, I would say, correct. But in the city of today, who are the people? Who are the people? How do you decide? Because that's the problem of power. I'm sorry about that. What we are going to talk about is a power. Deciding on what we are going to talk about is power. If we think of people coming from diverse cultures, different cultures in the city of today, they have no voice. For a period of time, at least, they have no voice. So who's going to deal with looking at their needs? Who's deciding that we're going to deal with their needs or not? So it's a very complex, very, very ambiguous, I would say, stance, what you are suggesting. And it's a major problem we are facing today in our world, in Europe, in Italy, and so on. Shall I move on with my?
Because you spoke of conflicts, and conflicts, as we know, there was an increase of conflicts, of forms, different forms of conflicts in our society, in Europe in general, and conflicts as a form of participation. What Rosa Gallon, for example, explain and describe as a participation against. And so, for example, these people maybe don't vote, but explain they being against something, against, for example, a project, a territorial transformation, or a policy about health or education against, but they never vote. And so what we have to do, what we have to which is the message, and what kind of agora we have to build for these people.
But I'm thinking how we can use physical space, the way we set physical space, so as to respond to these questions. For example, you're right, Marcello, but why these heavens? Because most of the education happens inside universities. In many places, you can just inform people about some problems in the public space. I mean, in South Africa, where you sent me, by the way, there are people doing murales explaining to children what is the history of their country, what are the problems today, explaining people what happens. It's because education happens only in schools, in closed spaces, not in public space. Couldn't we think of ways of using the public space to inform people about some decisions, about some problems, and make them participate? This was the sense of the Agora we tried to build. Things that were interacting with people, where people could be informed through, and it's not the case that I teach philosophy in a faculty of design, through infographics, through simple, immediate ways of informing people about some problems and giving them the basic information to get used to be involved in the life of a city, for example, if not of the world, which would be too complicated, but at least in the life of a city. Because there is no information in the physical space about this. The information comes from television, that's all. And tells you about the debate that happens inside the parliament. So we should bring this a little bit more in the public space. No? Think of ways of...
This brings me to the main issue I was focusing on, which in a way is what is public space in the city of today? What do we mean by public space in the city of today? And to make it brief, if you want, is that, and I'll come to my friend Mohammed. I mean, the agora we are referring to, it's something definitely of the past. In the city of diversity I look at, there's a problem in defining what is public space or what is public, because the other cultures have a different definition, or may not have a definition of public space. So when you say South Africa, the graffiti is a way of communication, of education, I agree, but you're referring to a part of the world. In some other parts of the world, this education going through public space doesn't work, because public space is not part of the society, if you want. So, and again, it's a problem of access to information. How do you provide the information so that people become educated and they can become citizens and they can vote? That's the field rule. But we should. What I think is that we should always have a very great attention in using certain words and certain references, which I feel are strongly linked to our own culture. And we think that that is the starting point. And in the world, it's no longer that way. I mean, the world is by now, as you all know, China, Asia in general. Ask the Asians what is public space. They don't even know what it is. Well, I mean, we cannot generalize, but let me generalize it, or they have a totally different notion of public space.
But, sorry to interrupt you, but why not we can ask to people here from different places, different cultures, what is public space? Just for example.
Mohamed, che cos'è lo spazio pubblico nella tua cultura e anche nella tua cultura, se mi permetti, di persona che viene da una diversa cultura, ma che poi è stata, come dire, ha incontrato, no? Quindi non voglio dire sei stato contaminato, assolutamente no, però sia la cultura da cui provieni e la condizione in cui ti trovi. Cos'è lo spazio pubblico?
Scusa, mi esprimerò in italiano, non l'arabo, così. È una domanda, ma quale cultura mia napoletana, perché si tocca a Napoli?
No,
la mia cultura
di origine, prima di tutto la tua origine, sei qua per la
cultura di nascita.
Esatto, bravo. E poi però.
È difficile rispondere a questa domanda perché lo spazio pubblico proviene dal Marocco, l'italiano dall'Europa. È diverso dall'Italia, lo spazio pubblico non c'è e c'è, magari anche spazio privato diventa anche pubblico. Per esempio, la gente si incontra quotidianamente nei caffè, che è uno spazio molto frequentato.
Non la gente, però, non la gente, se posso dire.
Credo?
Non la gente, una fetta della gente.
Cioè?
Gli uomini.
No, allora sei fermo ancora anni 70. Il problema è questo. Quando parliamo da quale città, se parlo di una città piccola che è Curitiba, una città miniera che diciamo costruita dai francesi, sì, negli anni 60, 70 le donne non frequentavano. Ma dopo si va adesso, la mia città che è piccola, poi si va a Casablanca o Rabat, non vedi differenze di frequentazione tra donne e uomini, quindi magari l'elezione si può ancora fissato che le donne non frequentano, anzi magari vai a certi locali che sono più donne che uomini, quindi finisco il mio ragionamento che i caffè sono molto frequentati, che sono privati però pubblici, uso pubblico. Le piazze, non c'è la cultura delle piazze, tranne le famose piazze, piazza Jean Arafna, Marrakesh, che non è una vera piazza all'italiana, che la gente si incontra, eccetera. Una piazza a uso, come piazza S.O.M.A, a uso di turisti. La gente, i turisti vanno perché ci sono i giocolieri, gli artisti di strada, eccetera, però non è una vera piazza pubblica dove la gente della città si incontra per dibattere e discutere delle questioni politiche. E poi ci sono i souk, ormai le informazioni passano nei souk, ci sono i souk quotidiani, diciamo, sono di mercati quotidiani o settimanali, dove la gente va a comprare e vendere, ma anche acquisire informazioni su quello, come sta andando perché la popolazione contadina in Marocco arriva al 60%, quindi il souk è una piazza viva dove si scambia merce, ma anche la gente va. C'è anche un detto marocchino, dice: se vuoi trovare i zii dei tuoi figli, vai al souk. Se uno vuole sposarsi, può anche fare i contatti del souk per sposarsi, eccetera. Quindi il concetto del luogo pubblico in Marocco è diverso dall'Italia, poi l'Italia c'è una certa cultura, poi non c'è una cultura, sono delle culture in Italia. Se partiamo dal Piemonte e arriviamo in Sicilia, le cose cambiano sullo spazio pubblico.
Posso dire una cosa? I should speak in Italian or English? English. It's better for everyone. It's fine. I want to, looking at the past, we start from a definition, maybe to a quote. Plato says, man and human beings are social animals. This was this is a very famous quote that was interpreted and reinterpreted recently also in several studies about what is public spaces, what is private spaces, and what is social. So what I want to focus on is a first definition of what we are talking about. So what is social, what is private, and what is public? Because there are, I think, some mix-up between what is social and what is public. In the Anna Arendt studies, she was focusing about this misgiven, this misunderstood, that was repeated, that became into an historical misunderstanding about what Plato said. Plato said, not the man is a social animal, because there is not an equivalent in Greek for social. It means politics at the very beginning. So the authentic Platon quote was, the man is a politic being, not a social. So in those days, what we are talking about is socialness, this huge amount of information that we can share, that we can, with several devices, every one of us is connected at the moment. We are streaming, everybody can look at us. This is, I think, a socialism. But socialism was very connected, I would say, with private. What is social is like going to the souk, you know, to meet friends, to have something that is in a way related to your private life. And the social network and the media, the new media, are more social than the public. I'm referring to public as politics, and to make politics. So what I want to say is that basically the social media, all these connections are more about private than the public itself. So recent studies demonstrate that what you share on Facebook, what you share on this social media that actually link all of us all together are mostly linked between people that we actually know, that we know in reality, people that share with us background, education, works or goals. So it's very difficult that, in my opinion, between social media, or we should work about it in that sense, that through social media there should be a real politics at the moment. It's more like social. It's just a question, everybody can contradict me or argue, but this is what I noticed, and yes, it could be, this is maybe the meaning of the social media.
This has to do with the question that the space, what we want in a private space, streets, that it's order. Conflict comes out of disorder. If we impose order, if we impose any control, if we eliminate the proper private spaces, we make it ordinato, it becomes social and not political. If we want conflicts, we must think of a place which has less order in it from an architectural point of view. We have this might of safety. To have conflict, you must be unsafe. This is what I want to say. The space must be unsafe.
We have done some of the interviews before this debate. So we went into the city and we interviewed some of the people who were like just passing by. And we were also, we wanted to see what they thought about the public space, and if that they're also the task to be involved into this problematics. So it was also very interesting to see how the students of architecture in the city think, and how is it different from the people who live in the city, like the mothers and the grandmothers. The thing that we saw is that the virtual space is the problem. So, I mean, the virtual space is one of the things why people are not together anymore. So they don't speak anymore in the physical space, but they speak more easily into the virtual space because according to themselves also. Yes, and the thing that is interesting is that they don't put themselves into, like, their face into it, So in the virtual space, it is like more simple to set your thing, and it is also more simple to escape. So
we had a majority of young people, like generalizing, of course, but we have a majority of young people defending this point of view and saying that actually hiding behind the virtual is like easier for them to be social, even if it's only a virtual.
Yeah, but that is also a problem because they also thought that the computer or the television is one of the elements why the people are not together anymore. So that's why they don't go to the place of the public space, or even in the cafes, even in the bars. It is not so common to go. Maybe it is for like just to chat with your friends, but it is not a place anymore like in the 20s in Paris, where you go and speak about some subjects that you want to develop. And so the problem is that there is no space anymore that would welcome you to think and to participate into the problematics of the city or other problematics that are in the city. Also because, for example, Venice is a multicultural city, so many moms and grandmoms told us that actually they don't see the problem of tourists. They usually also speak to them. They're very open-minded and they want to speak with the tourists. So we can also see the tourists in Venice not as a problem, but as a richness where we can integrate the tourists and see how we can create a dialogue. So maybe that would be also one of the tasks that we can speak about.
I think this is interesting in terms of what are the differences between communicating in the virtual space and communicating in the physical space. So if you can do a short list of what are the main differences and the main positive differences, for example, for the public and physical space. So why the virtual space, talking in the virtual space is bad and talking in the public physical space is good? What is the difference? If all of us will speak in Facebook, why not speak in Facebook and speak here? What are the differences?
Well, it is different because it is not.
It's real, our face, or the thing that it's important to be real, it's our ideas.
You get involved more if you're like physically present.
Yes.
Because I'm one of the first that I usually don't look like the citation on Facebook or some other news, because it is some virtual space that it's not so easy, and there are a lot of lots of people who don't see the computer network as a near space where they can really express their thoughts or really discuss. So it would be again like very oligarchy. Only the people who know to use the computer and know the language of the computer can discuss.
Then also from the people we did interview, the ones that told us, yeah, it's easier, to express our opinion in a virtual space even than in a physical dimension. Then we asked why. They said because they actually felt more liberated of the responsibility to be like current with the words that they were saying if they just typed them, than if they actually pronounce them.
It's not a good thing.
According to what people said to us, actually.
I mean, also for the multicultural interaction, you can meet someone that you generally discriminate for the color of the skin or something, and do not even know who he is, and then create a feeling between the two, and then know that people with all different color, different religion. So maybe the idea can meet, can bring people together in the physical space after the first step in the virtual world?
I'm very worried about this type of approach because it seems to me that it is a denial, essentially, of the city. The city as a place of encounter, of exchange, and of conflict also. Somebody was pointing out previously, I can't hear very well you calling, yes, I'm sorry. Let's see. Public space, what it is, but public space, physical public space, allows me to bump into the lady in front of me, who I've never met before. Now she may be white, yellow, or dark colored, but I've never met her before. When you go, it seems to me, because I'm too old to know that, you go into the natural space, somebody was mentioning that previously, you essentially bump into people, you're directed, it seems to me, towards something, okay? So this is the first point. Second point, the city is a place of encounter, exchange, and conflict. If this encounter and exchange takes place in the virtual space, they, as I was saying, provide a particular type of space, particular type of exchange with a particular type of people. And most of all, they don't provide conflict. In the virtual space, you don't have conflict. You may have discussion. Shall I remind all of you what has happened here, where, you know, all that kind of conflict, which means also change of politics, or at least trying to change of politics, has taken place in the physical space. Then it has spread out through, which is absolutely fundamental, but it has taken place in the physical space. The virtual space, it seems to me, but I wish you can contradict, doesn't bring conflict in the sense of a conflict which is a driver towards change, because change is driven as sometimes by the number of people who push for the change. So what you say, I understand, but it really worries me. It seems to me that it changes the essence of the urban space. Huh?
So the weather is not so good outside, but many physical time. But potentially everybody can see us. It's great. I mean, if you put it online, you can have reactions from all over the world, from all kinds of places. It's an open, I mean, it's an open. We are open. We're not in Venice here now, we are presenting everything. This is an advantage. Why shouldn't we think about using this possible new, open, big, not predetermined public to enter into a discussion? It depends on how you design the evidence. So, yes, some problems, and I agree with you, but it has some problems because we have passive people are used to be passive. We will discuss with because students may never learn.
Simona, there's one point which I missed. When you say, isn't it good that a relationship is established between two people without knowing whether they are white or black? Yeah. That's the point. The city is the place where, or it should be the place where, you establish a relationship, and use this word, even though she or he is black, with a minority, with a diversity, even though she or he is diverse. When you say the relationship may be established without knowing, the problem we face right now in the city of today is that diversity is physically there, materially there, and we have to adapt to it, not bypass it in a way.
Yes, it's not. Yeah, it's not bypassing. It's facilitating the transition because you can create empathy.
And then when you bump into it's not my case, but when you bump into the fact that the person you were talking to on the internet or whatever is diverse, let's put it the way, then you don't like it.
But it's a contact.
Eh?
What can I give someone? What can I give you physical space today in Venice with someone coming from another country? On the bridge, saying the legs starting home. But there are no places. It's much easier to, I don't know, it must make a project on how to do it. But it's easier for someone to enter into a conversation from the space into the physical space than by vice. Because it's a problem of information. We don't know how foreigners live in this time. We don't know what they are. We don't know what they are doing. So we must bring them into physical space. And how what is the need to bring people in? What can we do to bring people in? We do it online. And also use the physical contact through the field. So this is what I wanted to raise. How can we get physical contact, which are both necessary?
He wants to.
I just wanted to say that I agree with the facility of the virtual space.
Can you read what?
The virtual space can be a facility of communication, but it can't become only.
Absolutely not. I see the virtual space as enhancing and creating conditions for the physical interaction.
Yeah, but not only in our so our task would also be to
Speak louder because the acoustic is very bad. I can't further. The acoustic is very bad.
our task would also
That doesn't
to